My name is Ilya Zlotnik, advisor and partner with Vivaldi Capital Management, and welcome to today's conversation with Irina Frenkel. Irina is a business owner and founder of Retreat, a local health and wellness boutique with 2 locations in the Chicagoland area and one coming soon to South Florida. Good to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. This continues in the trend of business owners, entrepreneurs, founders that I've been having conversations with, and in particular, a few recently on health and wellness. To some extent, it scratches my itch because health and wellness is a space I'm very interested in. I like staying at the cutting edge of what's going on from a perspective of trying to optimize my health and those around me, physically and mentally, and then just navigating myself for what risks could lay ahead, as we get older. And I found your story to be really interesting because you're on the forefront of modern medicine, right? And you take a very proactive approach to working with your clients. You want to understand what's the root cause of any issues that might be holding them back from being their optimal selves, both now and in the future. But you started in traditional medicine, which takes a very reactive approach. Somebody gets sick, they go to the doctor. The doctor oftentimes prescribes drugs or surgery, which we all know has many side effects and might or might not work. So we'll definitely talk about that journey. But to start off with, what initially led you to pursuing the path that you did in medicine?
So I'm a really big results-oriented type of medical professional. I feel like originally when I was in college and going through my training, I really thought that I would be going to medical school. And then I decided we need to fill a gap that is in the healthcare space. And the biggest gap that I really noticed is that we're not making very close relationships with our patients. And a lot of times the best results and data will show in a lot of research is when patients feel heard, patients feel met, patients feel that they're not just getting a drug, but they're getting a whole philosophy and a lifestyle philosophy on options on food, what they're eating, how they're exercising, how they're managing stress, how they're coping with stress, what deficiencies are in their body, and not necessarily you didn't have a drug deficiency all of a sudden when you got sick, but we have to really focus on the cell at its core and what the cell needs to thrive and function properly. And that's what we do. We do a really big deep dive into that information to really identify lifestyle changes, detoxification, balancing of hormones, fitness, management of stress to really help people thrive and achieve those optimal results.
Yeah. But then when you first started, 20 years ago, right? This is not something you were thinking about because at that point, it was not a lot of people were thinking that way.
Yeah.
So initially you kind of went the traditional route, right? I suspect.
Yes. So when I started working, I did traditional for 2 months.
Okay.
And I was prescribing antibiotics. And I'm not really helping anybody because people get sick, we prescribe them a drug, and then they go home, they get sick again, we prescribe them a drug, and I'm like, something here needs to be deeper. We really need to identify why. What is the why? Mm-hmm. Why are people constantly getting ill and having to take in these antibiotics? And then I started a step further as why are these people getting ill and then needing blood pressure medications or diabetes medications? What's going on? And so my research, and so I left that traditional practice and I was teaching. I was a full-time faculty professor for the doctorate level nursing program.
But what did you study for specifically when you went to school?
So I have my bachelor's degree in nursing from Loyola. Okay. And then I have my master's in nursing from DePaul and my postmaster's certification family nurse practitioner. Okay. So I went back to DePaul and I taught for them for a little while. Okay. And when you're in academia, they're like, let's start research. And my research was in chronic disease reversal. And after all of the really deep diving into what's going on and where the gaps are in the healthcare industry, the biggest that I found was lifestyle. Lifestyle will dictate longevity, right? So Western medicine is fantastic in increasing how many years you can live. Mm-hmm. What we do is increasing how those years play out. So the quality of that life. The health span, I guess is a good word to say. Yeah. So I think that from that standpoint, and just seeing patients and seeing the industry, there was a lot of gaps in that part. And that's kind of where a light bulb went out, and I'm like, this is what the North forefront should be. And people were coming all the time, and what can I do? What can I eat? How should I exercise? They were looking for that guidance, and that was where this kind of, the rabbit hole kind of opened up.
Yeah. I've had similar experiences. I would go to a regular doctor and, the once a year checkup, and I would have so many questions. I'm like, I'm listening to Peter Attia. Peter Attia is somebody I listen to all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's Peter Attia? And I'm like saying all these things that are kind of, it's modern research, and they have no clue what you're talking about. They kind of do the same shtick, the blood tests and a few recommendations here and there, and you see them a year. And then you leave with so many questions, right? More questions than you come with. But I do remember you mentioning, or maybe I read somewhere, that you had your own kind of health issue that kind of spurred you to do this.
Yeah. So when I was 21, I was actually misdiagnosed with a diabetes diagnosis. And again, here's the thing, and this plays into what you're saying about modern medicine, is that the information is all there. We're not reinventing the wheel. The things we talk about, that the cells need specific things to thrive, yes, they do. That's not new. The fact is that a lot of education just doesn't really hone in on nutrition and stress, and that's just not the way the system's set up right now from the academic standpoint. But definitely, for me, what happened is at 21, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And at that time, because it was a long time ago, they weren't really sure what kind of diagnosis to put on me, because it wasn't type 1, but it wasn't type 2. And they just kind of threw their hands up in there and said, well, it's because we don't have enough of the ability to test for some of these things, that this is what we're going to give you. Take insulin, come every 3 months for a blood test, and have a nice day. In 2018, I entered myself in a research study, and what was found was that actually I have a gene that makes the insulin in my body, but it just does it in a delayed. So it does it a little bit later than it should. So it appears that I have this, but so it's a little bit of type 1, but a little bit of type 2. It kind of is in the middle. But with lifestyle and with taking the right nutrients and the right supplementation and eating the right food for my body, because when we say diet and exercise, it's different for every single person, and so it has to be personalized, that I was able to lose 56 pounds.
Wow.
I was able to feel and look younger now than I did 10 years ago. So it definitely is a big personal change for me.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been kind of a big wake-up call, because, when you're a teenager in your 20s, you think of people that have diabetes as much older typically. Okay, so that was a big aha moment.
Right.
Okay, so you did the traditional route for a bit. You taught, and you did research, it sounds like, at DePaul University. So what happened after that?
So after that, I started embarking my journey in functional medicine and personalized care. I worked it a little bit in an industry that kind of tapped into it. And I had some clients. I had some really great results with my clients. And I had two partners approach me and say, hey, what you're doing is really making a change. We're seeing the changes in ourselves and in our family, friends, and everyone.
So these partners, were they initially clients of yours?
They were clients.
Okay.
And we ended up opening in June of 2021. We went. We saw this vision of this great area where we can really put a stamp to help people thrive and honor the body's ability to heal itself. And so we opened our first location of Retreat in June of 2021 in Deer Park, with a second location just opened this year in Northfield, Illinois, and more to come.
Well, I think that's a really cool story, that you were at another location kind of just trying to figure it out, and you did such a good job for these two people that they were willing to come to you and say, hey, we're willing to financially back you, right, to start Retreat.
Yeah. And we definitely just kind of the open-mindedness of, it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter way. You don't have to put yourself in this bucket. And definitely kind of looking at a different way to look at your health, and spread the message. And we've been growing ever since, and we've been really fortunate in the sense that we've had a lot of inquiries, a lot of demand. We have a growing team. I have a lot of mentors behind me, really supporting our mission and what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I just want to go back to this because I think that's an interesting thing. Because here you are, you're an employee. Were you thinking of being an entrepreneur?
So definitely in the back of my mind, I've thought about it, and how you're always thinking of different ways how could this be better.
'Cause it's a big jump.
It is a huge jump.
It's scary, right?
It's super scary.
You had a kid.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes. And definitely, but I had the full confidence because I knew that I had a great team. We had a really solid team. We had a really, a lot of planning. We had a really great goal in mind.
Yeah.
We had a vision. We saw where we want to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road. We knew.
So what was that vision like at that point?
So we wanted to make it twofold. We wanted to become a household name. We want to open up nationally. We want to be able to give people all over the country the opportunity to really take ownership of their health and be able to kind of be like, I achieved this. I achieved this fitness status. I achieved feeling this way, and put it back on the individual, because you do have that accountability to your health, because you're born with the only body you'll ever have, right? So
For now.
for now, hopefully.
Well,
Well, yes, we'll take care of it. I'll just tell you that. So it's all about that type, and it was definitely hard for me in the sense of what will happen, and where are we going, and but it's so important to be able to work with so many different disciplines of people that are educated in whatever industry it is, right? Like for me, it was health and wellness, or in finance, or in marketing, right? It all has to come together in the proper way, and roles need to be clearly identified and delineated. And I think that was what makes a great team, is that you're able to really spread the message. You're really able to change lives. And that's ultimately what our vision was.
Yeah. Well, one thing you did mention to me, and I went through your process, so we could talk about your process. And I thought it was really interesting. We actually sat down a couple weeks ago, and you went through all my results and what I have to do. And now I'm on a whole supplement regime.
Yes.
And hopefully that will get tested once a quarter and see if that improves. But you said that there's programs out there like this, but they're very expensive and they cater to a certain type of client, whereas you're trying to create a program that the mass individual can afford, and spread this to as many people as possible in the U.S., which I found interesting.
Right, exactly. So we tried to make it, so a lot of people tell me, walking in a door, a doctor like you or a provider like you is, crazy thousands of dollars. And we really try to make it so that we're still getting the best service, no matter who you are, right? You're getting the best products out there on the market, whether it's nutrients or supplements or whatever it is that we give you. I don't work with anything that is not the best on the market. It has to have an approval of 5 private agencies that come in, pull it off the shelves, and make sure that it's pure. There's no additives, there's no preservatives, because if you're taking a vitamin that you think is good for you and it's not, that's a problem. So but we try to make it we put people on a plan. We do subscription options are available. And the vision is to spread to as many people as we can, because it becomes like a trickle down effect. If you're feeling good and you're sleeping and you're having, you don't have issues with your stomach or your bowels or your gut health, and your energy's great, that spreads. It's like a trickle down effect, right? So then that spreads to your family.
Yeah, you want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about it to everybody. And we're so fortunate in the sense that that's exactly what happened. Our number one source right now is referrals. That's our number. People ask, how do we grow? But referrals it's by far the number one way that we acquire new clients. And the thing is that you want to talk about it. You want to spread the message. So you become, your family, and then extended, and then work, and it kind of just multiplies.
Yeah.
And so that's really, really important, I think, because when you feel better, everyone around you feels better. You don't even realize how you radiate a different type of persona. And so that was what our vision was. And so we were like, we don't want to make it so it's so unattainable for people. We do, we will meet halfway. We personalize month over month. Everything is personalized to you. It's customized to what you need at that moment. And then we go through the process. And oftentimes people tell me, when I read their results, just like I did with you, they're like, are you a fly on my wall? How do you know I feel like that? How do you know that happens to me in the middle of the night? How do you know that this is what's going on? So it's almost like I can tell, but I also don't want to treat a lab value, right? I need to treat the person. And so it's almost like the blend of the two.
Yeah. That's a good combination. Because you talked about it, people want to feel heard, and you want to build a relationship with somebody over time. That's really important in any field, even in my field in wealth management. It's not just about the numbers, it's building a relationship with that person. So one thing that's interesting is, okay, so you work for somebody, all of a sudden now you're an entrepreneur, you're building a business. What were some of the kind of the initial obstacles that you had in making that transition?
So, it's almost like you're starting from the beginning. So, when you work with somebody, you never, you just kind of start from the beginning. You want to get your own clients. You want to get people that believe in you. You have to start a whole new brand from scratch. Mm-hmm. And, we started with some social media. We started with word of mouth, we started with some print media locally. And then it, friends and family friends, and, we have a great support system. So people want to support. So they refer, they send and send. Yeah. And as you build a brand, building a brand takes time. It takes a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of pivoting, because you're talking about something and then, like Peter and Tia is talking about the same thing, you know what I mean? Or, but you want to, and before it was, let's talk about food. A lot of it was food. A lot of it was, what are the processed foods? What's in our foods? What are the preservatives in our foods? But now I'm kind of like shifted from that, because we've educated on that a lot. And now it's more about trying to create that relationship, that process that tells people, hey, my health is in my control. I think shifting that framework and that mindset and just giving them the tools really helps. So shifting all the time as an entrepreneur, being flexible to that.
Pivoting, right?
It's all the time. And I have a great team. They're so great and receptive to it. And the interesting thing is, my whole team, nobody is a yes man. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's very like, no, that's not going to work.
Like a yes woman, because I feel like most of your team is a
yes
woman.
woman. Yes. Okay, true. Or they'll say like, that's not going to work. Or, yeah, that's great in theory, but in reality, that's not happening. So there's definitely, and I appreciate that feedback. I have an open door policy, and I'm like, you can tell me anything. I love, because we're all working towards the same goal. Yeah. And that's something that we really need to think about, and really kind of, as in a leadership position, you always want to create other leaders. Mm-hmm. And being able to talk things through, I think, is really important. And people share that with me a lot. They say, my other job, I could never say this, or I could never openly talk to someone who's in charge, or whatever it is. And so just having that and meeting people on their level, I think, is really important. And it's important to take people's considerations into my consideration. So that's where the pivoting happens, but definitely changing things. Like, we started with a 3-month program. Then we went to a 1-year program. We're like, no, people get discouraged. People are feeling good at the beginning, and then they kind of stabilize, and they're kind of like, I don't need to be doing this for a year. So we shifted. Right now, our initial program is 6 months to start. We are introducing a lot of other programs. For example, we're launched a big women's health section, mm-hmm. which actually helps women kind of nurture and men who want to have kids, and nurture the body so that the body is balanced from both sides, because it is a 50-50 process.
Takes two to tango.
Yes. So you can put a baby inside anything, right? With IVF, we could put a baby in the uterus, but what's the environment like? Yeah. So creating that low inflammation, creating that, making sure that stress hormones are at bay and thyroid hormones are at bay and things like that.
Well, let's talk about that. So what's the process like? Like, you get it, somebody's referred and they come in, they're a brand new patient. Talk about that process.
Yeah. So there's a few ways to do it. You can call the office, or on our website, there's a link you can click and book what we call a hello consultation. It's a 15-minute call with our office to kind of learn about us, because we're new and it's a new mindset. And so we want people who are patients or want to be clients to understand what it looks like. And so once that happens, then they book, we do an in-depth blood work panel. where based on the information they give us and intakes that they fill out, we're able to order the necessary tests. We look at your, in addition to the typical stuff that what you said, you just get baseline stuff once a year. We look at in-depth stress hormones, metabolic hormones, food hormones, mood hormones. We look at vitamin gaps in the body. And we really identify the health of the liver. We really do a deep dive in liver health. And so we're able to, and then gut health. And so we're able to, so we schedule for blood work. They're able to do that in the office, any office, or we are happy to send a phlebotomist to the house. And so a lot of our people who are really busy in the mornings with meetings and things going on, the phlebotomist comes, they draw the blood, 5 minutes, they're out the door.
I had somebody come.
You had that, okay.
Although I will say, I don't think I've spent so much time. There was like the more vials that he went through than ever. I was like,
Because we draw more blood.
like 9 vials.
But that's also, you also said you just get the typical
But he was
blood
good.
test.
He was a pro.
Okay, good.
He was a pro.
Good, thank you. So we definitely, and then after that, we schedule a 1-hour visit with a provider where we do kind of what we did, a big deep dive. So we look at everything. I explain to you how, what we're looking for. I get to know you. I understand your history of where your health and where you're coming from. We do a deep dive to really understand what your life is like, what your day is like, what your stress is like. And then we're able to put a plan together for you. So we look at, based on what you described, based on the deep dive of you, explaining your results, and then we put a plan together and we talk about it. And we, the plan may include supplements. The plan may include a shake. The plan may include food changes and what you're eating, because we did ask kind of a deep dive of what your day looks like from that standpoint, how you're exercising, what your bedtime routine is like. So there's a lot of things. And we try to, send you a recap, encourage kind of what does your care plan look like month after month. And then we check your blood every quarter, because I look at blood as a report card, right?
Yeah.
So you get a report card a few times a year at school. And so same idea. Where are you at? It's important to know where your vitamin D is, right? That tells us a lot. Yeah. And amongst other things. But there's a lot, and we see which way things are trending. Are they going to pop back to normal in 3 months? Maybe, maybe not. But at least if it's moving in the right direction, the trend, then we know that we're doing the right thing, and we know how to adjust your plan based on those results.
Yeah. I think, again, to go back to traditional medicine, because I did my annual checkup this year and I did the test, and I think like my LDLs were high or something. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, well, what does that mean? And
Right.
they make some recommendations about like, get some more sleep and eat better. I'm like, well, I already sleep well and I already eat well. And then like, what am I going to see you again in a year? So your program is awesome because you get to check it all the time. And then you have very specific recommendations and you provide all that stuff directly. It gets sent to your house. The supplements.
Yeah, everything gets drop shipped to you.
I think I got the kit today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't opened up. But let's see if it works.
Yeah, but it has your name on it, and it's what you need. It's all
Yeah.
measured out for you. You don't need to be opening all these bottles.
High quality.
The quality is top notch.
Yeah. Do you see anything that's pretty consistent across your patients, like that keeps coming up?
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've seen?
That's a good question. Stress. Stress is huge. People are stressed. And stress is a toxin to the body, right? So it lowers the immune system. And people can't sleep. People can't go to the bathroom regularly. Their mood is off. Their energy levels are off. So adrenal health is something that we see is off often.
The word I've heard recently is adrenal fatigue. I've heard that a few times.
Yes. I think we talked about it even.
adrenal fatigue,
Yeah. So that's huge. And that's any stressor to the body, right? Not just I'm stressed at work, but it's any stressor. It's your physical stress. I have a lot of patients come to me and they say, I exercise every single day, but I can't seem to lose weight. Well, when the adrenals are not doing what they're supposed to, the fat is going to store. And then we won't be able to ever shed that excess body fat. So it's important to be able to check that out. Additionally, we look at, so stress is huge. It affects every part of the body, even can raise LDL. So there's a lot going on there that we want to look at. The other thing is liver health is huge for us as well. So a lot of times the liver will store fat instead of burn the fat, which is called fatty liver, which in the United States right now eventually leads to the number one reason why is the cause for a liver transplant. And so we oftentimes will, at this phase where we usually not 100%, but we're able to reverse that process with the right program.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I mean, people are overworked with work.
Right.
They've got so many different obligations. They got kids. It's hard to eat healthy because people don't really know what it is. Like, I was on a camping trip this weekend, and one of my buddies, like, I can't lose weight, and I'm trying out everything. And I saw what he was eating that week, and I'm like, I didn't say anything to him, but I'm like, this is why you can't lose weight. I'm like, I see what you're eating.
Right.
And God, like, you look at the ingredients and so much. There's a lot. It's really difficult
It's difficult.
unless you really spend the time and make it a priority.
So 100%. And that's one of the first questions that we ask is this a priority to you, right? Is this something that you're committed to? Because it's lifestyle, right? And I always tell them, if I had the magic wand and I had the pill to give you to make you feel 100%, I would do it. But it just doesn't work like that, not right now. So that's really important. And sometimes it's not just only food, right? Food is a huge component, of course. Yeah. And it definitely does take time and effort and knowledge. People sometimes don't even know that this is not good for you, right? Marketing right now is really, it can really influence people in the wrong way because there's a lot out there. But
more often than not, I feel like it influences, at least in the food industry, in the wrong way.
Right. And and so that's what we're there for, is people tell me what to eat. Tell me how to do this. Tell me what I can do to fix this. What other tool do you have for me? And we have these conversations. Yeah. I can have a patient being like, I have this. I don't know if you have the tools for me.
Yeah.
And usually we do. So it's always about meeting somebody. It's always about listening. It's about spending time. And it's really about that process of being accessible, having that boutique style presence where when you call the office, you know who you're speaking to. I think that really helps. And definitely some of the things that we've pivoted on over the last 3 years is making more and more changes to make sure that's happening.
Yeah. Well, speaking of food, you told me to get some non-pasteurized cheese.
Yes.
And I got some from Whole Foods.
Good.
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm excited to give it a go.
Yeah, good. And that's a really big thing because the pasteurization process, as I explained, when they heat it, it denatures the casein, which is a protein in the dairy, and that could be really inflammatory to your gut. Yeah. And people oftentimes feel bloated or constipated. Yeah. So I said to you, I'm like, try the unpasteurized, and if it's something that you really enjoy. Yeah. And I think that'll make a big change.
Okay. I love cheese, so
I know
we'll see how it changes. What do you see the future of kind of what you're doing and then your business, let's say over the next 3, 5, 10 years?
So we want to open up more locations. We really want to make it a national name and have clinics in markets that can recognize this type of medicine and beyond, right? Because education is key. And we will be online as well, so an e-commerce platform. We really want to grow to more locations. We want to grow our online store. There's definitely talk about maybe, my whole thing is I'd love to have like a holistic clean spa or kind of a relaxation place where people can come and relax, but know that the products that they use and the ingredients that they're using are pure and clean. And there's kind of what you said, like the ingredients aren't like a bunch of chemicals that are really seeping in through the skin. But we definitely are building a brand where it's all clean living, right? Clean household. We educate people on what kinds of pots and pans to use, and so forth. So the sky's the limit. But we are excited to grow in this space.
Yeah, it's a very interesting space, and there's so much research that's coming online. So I can only imagine what you're doing now. I'm sure will continue, but will look different to some extent because of what we're learning over the ensuing years. One other question is, how are you using technology in your business nowadays? Yeah.
So we're looking at our data. We're looking at what products we're selling. We're looking at, are people signing up for memberships? Are people paying as they come in, like a fee for service? So we're looking at the data. We're using a really integrative platform, creating dashboards to really look at right from the financing to the products to even our staff KPIs, all of those things to grow from that standpoint. So technology is definitely improving, and we're actually in this process right now to improve the growth of the company through technology. Definitely creating opportunities to be able to chat directly with your provider, to be able to book online, to be able to reschedule your appointment, to be able to get automatic reminders. Did you take your vitamins? Like pop up on your phone. So that's something that we're working on right now, but is definitely looking at the data to kind of see where people are when they start to when they finish. Because I think people want information, especially when it pertains to you, right? And what your body's doing. So we're creating dashboards too that you can view your labs. We can view your progress. We can recap your progress. You have a new care plan month after month. And so that's data. Technology is huge. I think that it's going to really bring us to that growth phase.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need it, especially as you grow and you have more teams. And like you said, people want that. Like you want to log in somewhere and have a slick platform that looks good, but then it kind of shows you your progress.
Yeah.
Because you want patients that are with you for years, right?
Right, exactly. We want a lifelong client. So, and it doesn't have to be in a aggressive manner like at the beginning, right? Because at the beginning, that's where they were getting most of the education, and this is where they were making most of the changes. But we still want to be available for them, even if they're in what we call our thriving plan, where they're thriving, they're doing well on their own, they've made the changes. But we still, even in that part, we are checking blood work every quarter just to make sure that things don't turn around. And then we can just kind of, I don't want someone coming back to me in 20 years and being like, oh no, all this is bad again. I want somebody to kind of keep with the plan. And if in 3 months things shift the wrong way, then we're able to intervene.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so important because personal accountability is maybe one of the greatest values that you offer, right? That if you're not actually talking to somebody and paying somebody, it's very easy kind of to fall off the bandwagon.
So that's one of the factors, but I definitely do think that I tell people at the beginning, we're making small changes. Eventually those small changes become habits. And then as the brain rewires, that becomes your lifestyle. And that's the goal, right? It has to be. So what we say as our mission is it has to be innovative, it has to be effective, it has to be sustainable. And you have to make sure that you're honoring the body's natural ability to heal and then thrive.
Absolutely. Great. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I think it's wonderful. I'm so excited that we had this conversation. Thank you so much. I'm really interested to keep spreading the message, and I know that we both share this value. And so I think that it's really important, not just from what your body is doing physically, but from that mental health, psychological standpoint to help people achieve the best that they can be. So I'm really, really happy that we're able to spread this message.
Great. Well, you're doing really great things. Hopefully it continues, and then, I'll have you on again when you have locations all over the country. A couple of years.
That'll be awesome.